Today, I will read some information about China's macroeconomic. More particularly, it is changes caused by the pandemic to China's GDP. On October 19, 2020, the National Bureau of Statistics of China announced that the GDP growth rate in the first three quarters of this year tended from negative to positive, a year-on-year increase of 0.7%. In terms of the quarter, the first quarter fell 6.8% year-on-year. The second quarter increased 3.2%, and the third quarter increased 4.9%. Among them, the GDP growth rate in the third quarter was 4.9%, which was lower than the market expectation and lower than the middle estimate of 4.2% in the return service. The average forecast of NICU was 5.2%. In the first quarter of 2020, GDP fell by 6.8% year-on-year. The quality negative growth of China's economy is extremely rare in the past 4 decades. This is the lowest value since China began to publish quarterly GDP data in 1992. And it is also the first time that the quarterly growth rate has been negative. The term exceeding expectation is still used to describe China's economic rebound in the second quarter. Gross domestic product increased by 3.2% in the second quarter, and the GDP in the second quarter increased by 11.5% month-on-month, showing signs of recovery. And China began its reform and opening up in 1978 and experienced 3 sharp inflation. The first 2 were when the inflation rate reached 18.8% in 1988 and 18% in 1989. In 1994, China experienced the worst inflation since the reform and the opening up, with the annual inflation rate reaching 24%. In 1997, the CPI growth rate gradually dropped to a moderate range of 2.7%. Since then, China has entered a 23-year period of low inflation. Only in 2008 and 2011, the CPI increased by more than 5%. The rest mostly hovered between 1 to 3%. The 5.4% increase in CPI after the outbreak was the third time it exceeded 5% in 23 years. So China has a great influence by pandemic in 2020.